My name is Vasyl Kapitan, and today I will tell you the story of my grandfather, Volodymyr Yosyfiv. He was born on October 1st, 1939 in the village of Komaro in western Ukraine. My grandfather's parents became Jehovah's Witnesses in 1937, so he grew up in a Christian family. His parents also encouraged him to read the Bible from his childhood. In school, though, my grandfather was named called Subotnik because of his religious beliefs. And once Volodymyr was even severely beaten. His lip was split and tooth knocked out. And also, at the initiation of the local priest, his family was constantly persecuted. They were even threatened to burn down their house if they wouldn't go to church or hang idols in their house. But that was just the beginning. When my grandfather was 11, during the night they heard a loud banging in their door. It was the NKVD officers who came. And NKVD, it's the secret police in the former Soviet Union. The house was searched, and after that they were told that they were being taken to Siberia, and they were given only 2 hours to get ready. But also they were given a document to renounce their faith, and if they do so, they can stay. But my great-grandparents did not hesitate to reject this offer. So on that day, April 8th, 1951, the secret Operation North was put to action. This operation was unique because it was the biggest deportation of religion group in the former USSR. It was happening because Soviet Union viewed Jehovah's Witnesses and my grandfather's family like a threat because of their uncompromised neutrality and their refusal to participate in political parties and also to serve in the army. Even leading up to the Operation North, some 1,000 Jehovah's Witnesses were imprisoned and sent to the labor camps. The deportation itself was very harsh. Here's how my grandfather describes it. My family and I rode in the body of a truck on the main street of our village, waving goodbye to all our neighbors who came to say goodbye to us at dawn. Among them were my friends. I was only 11 years old. At this emotional moment, we thought we were seeing our home at the last time. At the train station, there were 54 of us who were loaded into one freight car. The smell of steam and locomotive smoke mixed with the smell of feces was well remembered in the freight car. I was very cold and hungry because we were only fed every few days. For one boxcar was given 1 bucket of wheat porridge and 1 bucket of water, which we had to divide among more than 50 hungry people. We traveled like that for 19 days. What truly helped us during this time, we sang Christian songs that we knew by heart. When arrived in Siberia, my family was placed in the barrack where 12 other families lived. In the middle of the barrack, they had a stove on which food was cooked. Also, upon their arrival, my great-grandparents were told to sign a document that they arrived there forever and voluntarily. And my great-grandfather refused, so he was temporarily imprisoned because of that. Obviously, the life there was very difficult. I always remember what my grandfather was saying, that all his youth he had a big dream to eat and get full. My grandfather Volodymyr always tells the story about life there. He remembers. In our free time, mostly in the evenings, our parents taught us, the children, that we should live accordingly to God's laws, that the entire communist system is not from God and will definitely be overthrown. This helped a lot. My mother also worked hard, and I was always with her. Later, I chopped firewood for gas generator transport and delivered prisoners' lunch for 4 kilometers. My grandfather and his family, they were very active in the theocratic activities. Daily, they risked their so-called freedom to care for the spiritual and physical needs of the group. Nowadays, it's called congregation. In 1958, some of the witnesses wrote a letter, a claim about the persecution to Khrushchev. It was the former ruler of USSR. But this letter was seen as a threat to Secretary General. Because of this letter, my grandfather's place was searched and he was arrested. Because he refused to cooperate with KGB, he was placed in prison in a small solitary confinement cell. Volodymyr was convinced that if he would give information about his brothers and also confess about the letter, that he would be released. But if not, they said that they will place him in a prison to rot there for 7 years. but my grandfather stood his ground as many others did. Being in prison, interrogations were conducted, and mainly at night. My grandfather often recalls this dialogue with his investigator. He threatened and began to seduce me with material things and said, "Don't serve the Brooklyn Chiefs." Here, I did not restrain myself from saying, "You believe and serve human leaders like Stalin and Khrushchev, and my leader Jehovah in heaven will protect me from you." This little story shows me what a strong faith my grandfather had. Sometime later, another visit from the investigator especially touched my grandfather. He recalls, "Officer said that given my youth of 18 years old, I'm being released. I couldn't figure out what was going on, and after 2 weeks in solitary confinement, I felt like I was imagining this. But when he told me to pick up my things and leave for the second time, I realized that in this persecution and in solitary confinement, I wasn't alone. Jehovah God was with me. I was also very glad that I did not give any of my brothers away." A few years later, Volodymyr was imprisoned for the second time for 3 years for refusing to serve in the army. He served his sentence in the city of Agnarsk and then in the Bazoy camp. My grandfather remembers Siberia as a godless, uncivilized Asia, where for some 16 years he wasn't able even to eat some basic fruits. Living in exile, he recalls the popular Russian poem by writer Lermontov, which says, "Goodbye unwashed Russia, the land of slaves, the land of lords." On July 5th, 1967, my entire family was able to return back to Ukraine, but all of their confiscated property weren't returned to them. So it was very difficult for them to find their place and settle in their native land after being away for some 14 years. Through deportation, the Soviet government tried to nullify influence of Jehovah's Witnesses, trying to completely eliminate their faith. But instead, the numbers of Jehovah's Witnesses and new believers steadily grew. All his life, Volodymyr was not willing to abandon his neutral stand or renounce his beliefs because of many persecutions. Growing up, I loved to listen to these stories, and up to this day, my grandfather always remembers them. But even now, after 70 years since the Operation North happened, every time when he mentions those times, he can't hold back his tears. You know, Grandpa's whole life serves as a wonderful example for me. From him, I learned that prayer is a powerful and very important thing. So everything I do now, I try to pray to Jehovah, God, and ask for His guidance and help. I remember when I was a kid, my grandfather Volodymyr always encouraged me to read and study Bible verses, so that in the future, when even more difficult times come, Bible knowledge can be in my mind and heart, and I'm really thankful to him for that. I'm very proud of my grandpa, and from his life, I learned how much he treasured Bible and his relationship with God. I'm so thankful that at his age of 82, he's still alive and keeps going every day.